Hey craft buddies, I am so excited for today's video. It is my first one fully back since my maternity leave and everything that's been going on with us health-wise. So I am so excited to be back in my craft room and DIYing. So I've got a box here from Melanie at Simple Made Pretty. Kristen K is our guest host this month and it is going to be a lot of fun. So let's dive into this box. I cannot wait to get creating. You're watching Whiskey and Whit. My name is Whitney, and I am so thrilled that I am welcoming you back to Whiskey and Whit for another installment of the Mystery Box Challenge. Now, if you are regular to this, you saw that I did not participate last time. I was planning to, and then literally the week before, the wheels kind of came off with all the health stuff with my son. That is when I called Courtney and said, I am so sorry, but I need to take a step back. I need to step out of this. And it was the first one that I didn't do in 5+ years. So I definitely missed it. Now that things have settled down a little bit here at home, I am so excited to be hopping back into creating. Always a quick rundown if this is the first time you're seeing one of these videos or you just stumbled upon this video by chance. This is the Mystery Box Challenge. It's hosted by Courtney over at Creative on the Cheap. I love this. It is so much fun. We have such a great time. And it's a bunch of YouTubers get together. Every month there is a host, which is Courtney. Also a guest host, which this time is Kristen from Kristen K. Kristen called the shots. She came up with all of the rules. There's also challenge items I have to use. There is a twist that I have to incorporate. So we'll talk about that as we go. The theme of the box is spring, and Melanie did a great job. Look at all of these little butterflies she put on here. You definitely want to check out Melanie's channel if you have not already. She also has a fantastic blog. It's got a ton of stuff. If you're a Cricut person, you will love Melanie as well, so be sure to check her out. I packed up a box and sent it to Lisa at Lisa Birmingham, and I sent Lisa a box around Christmas time to the stuff that she did with the items that I sent her. I thought I was being tricky, and she just rocked it out of the park. So you're going to want to go see what I sent her and also what she created with those items. I am thankful that this is coming from Melanie and not Kelly Barlow. If you saw last time, Kelly was not happy with what I sent her. One of these times I'm going to get Kelly. I lucked out last time and I didn't have to open the box from Courtney. It's actually in my closet. I never opened the box. So if you guys want to see me open that, maybe Courtney, maybe we'll do it on a live or something. Comment down below. Let me know. Okay, I see a card first. Create something beautiful every day. SimpleMadePretty.com. Told you about the blog. She like themed this all out with the dragonflies and butterflies. Can't wait to see what you create, best Melanie. Also, I did want to mention, this is a slice cutter. Look how small this is. The back is also magnetic, so I stick it on my craft cart. But this thing, it's a ceramic blade, so it's not going to cut your skin. It's great if you have kids. I have these for box opening, like downstairs in case Finn grabs it. Like, it's not going to cut you, but it cuts right through your boxes. I digress. First thing I'm seeing is this. This must be the wood item. I will put up on the screen over here all of the things that we had to pack up in the box per Kristen's instructions. So these laser cut, I almost said dragonflies, no, butterflies. Those are cute from Dollar Tree. I like those. We also had to send some florals. So here, these are carnations. I like the color. This must be a sender's choice item, I'm thinking. We've got chicken wire. We also had to send flower pots, so we've got some plasticky ones. Another item was moss, so she sent me reindeer moss. Intense green. We'll make it work. What I like to say about the mystery box is you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. So, okay, this might be wood too. I don't know if this is sender's choice. Okay, we've got 3 of these boxes. I've worked with these before and I like them. So far, Melanie was like, this is her first one back. We're gonna be nice to Whitney, hopefully. I haven't opened the challenge items. I've never seen this. Vellum paper. Oh, she sent me 2 things in moss in case I really wanted to get mossy. Okay, garden tool. Oh, this is interesting. Dollar Tree has metal little things now. $1.25. Yarn. Okay, chenille yarn. I love this because I packed up literally the same yarn except for in a pink color and sent it to Lisa. 9. Did you send me an extra? 7, 8, 9. All right. She was like, extra item is your challenge. So one of these challenge items is a piece of clothing, and the other one was Melanie's choice. All right, touche, Melanie, touche. At least you kept with the spring theme. I can see the thumbnails now, or the titles. I try not to be too like crazy clickbaity with mine. You know, like you want to get people's attention, but like, look at this crazy thing I did with underwear. Everyone's gonna be running a Dollar Tree for these underwear. You guys, I'm delirious. I am sleep deprived. I have a 3-month-old. Anyway. The spiral art kit. Did you ever do these when you were a kid where you put the pen in and you... All right, I'm going to take a couple days. I'm going to figure out what the heck I'm going to do with this. I don't know if I'm going to be rusty, so fingers crossed it all turns out. Stay tuned. You're going to have to see what in the world I do. Wow. Here is one final look at everything that Melanie sent before we get crafting. For this first one, we are going to grab the wood boxes. And the great thing about this project that I'm going to show you is you could do it with any scrap, hobby, or craft wood. So tons of different options. You're going to sand it, and then you're also going to want to stain or paint it the color of your choice. Then we are going to find some images that we want to use. I am going to use images of my sons, and I'm going into Canva and creating a square that is 5 by 5 because I need these pictures to print out in the square size. I'm dragging in the images, super simple, and then I'm downloading them as either a JPEG or a PNG. Here's where the magic happens. I'm dragging it into Google Docs, and this is how I guarantee things print the right size. Select your image, go up to Image Options, and then Size and Rotation on the side. Then you can change it to however you want it to print, and then I'm going to select the image, select this rightmost line situation, and then you're also going to say Fixed Position on Page. What that is going to do is allow you to move these and have them stay. You don't have to worry about text, and then it's time to print. I'm actually going to do a fun decoupage technique. So we are going to take some plain white tissue paper and we're going to cut it a little bit smaller than your average piece of printer paper. You want enough room that you can tape it on to use the printer paper as a carrier sheet, but you also want to have it wide enough that you're going to be able to print your pictures to the right size. You know your printer best, so insert it the way that you're going to print right onto the tissue paper and out it comes. Now, sometimes I get a little smudging just because of the tissue paper, but most of the time it works. You may have to try it a couple times, but this is a great hack to do at home. Then I'm going to trim these, get rid of the back sheet of paper, and then you've got your image sized. I'm going to take some Mod Podge and do a light but full coat on both of these blocks. I ended up doing 2 images because I accidentally ripped the other one, and this was late at night, and just keeping it real, I was like, we're just going with 2. Then when the Mod Podge is completely dry, you are going to put your tissue paper image right on top, line it up and cover it with either a towel, butcher paper, or here a Teflon sheet. I get these on Amazon. You're going to use your lowest setting. You're going to apply it, remove the Teflon sheet, and then use a little bit of sandpaper to sand off any of the extra tissue that hung over the edge. And that's it. You don't need to seal it. These are good to go. And I love having these photos of both of the boys up in the house now. These are great gifts for everybody from Mother's Day to teachers, so many different options. And I love having these in the house. So because I recently organized my craft space, I knew that I had 4 of these large paint stir sticks up here in my blanks. So we're going to use these with that chicken wire and hopefully make something great. Fingers crossed. I never know when inspiration is going to strike me, and I was actually walking through Hobby Lobby and I saw these in the wood section, and I thought at $10 a pop, I can easily make this with scrap wood that I have at home. So I grabbed a 1x6 plus those sticks and got to work. So before I cut my big piece of wood, I got to figure out how big the side, like how tall the side's going to be. So I basically need 2 of these plus the chicken wire. So I'm just going to eyeball this here. Very official. 4 3/4. So I'm going to measure 4 3/4 on my 1x6 and cut 2 of those. Once I had the 2 sides of my box cut, then I needed to figure out how big I needed to make the bottom. So to do that, I started by cutting the little handle, the little notched piece off of the top of all 4 of my 5-gallon paint sticks. And then I figured out that I needed to subtract 1.5 inches from the overall thing because I have the bottom, the 2 sides, and then I need my front piece to overlap both the 2 sides and the bottom, as you're seeing here. So here is my cut list. My paint sticks were 14 inches long, the 2 sides were 4 3/4, and then my long 1x6 ended up being 12.5, which is the 14 minus 1/2 inch if you want to adapt this to any wood that you have. Like I always do, I am sanding everything down. It makes it so much easier. You're not going to get a splinter first off, but then it's also going to help you get the stain on there.
Now what I decided to do is to assemble half the box before I stained, just because I thought it would be a lot easier. So here I am adding wood glue to either side of that bottom piece, and I am using 1¼ inch nails to attach both of those pieces from my nail gun. You can also use finish nails and a hammer if you don't have a nail gun, and the wood glue is going to help keep everything together. So the goal here is to put down those paint stir sticks and have it line up exactly, which it did. Woohoo! Then we are going to stain all 4 of those paint sticks, as well as the C-shape base of the box, and make sure that you stir your stain. When I was first starting out, I didn't realize you had to stir it, and I was wondering why my color was not consistent. Well, that's why. Gotta stir it every time. Then when everything was dry, I'm taking some 1-inch nails, adding my 2 sticks to the side of the box, and then I'm cutting down that chicken wire and using 1/4-inch staples in my DeWalt staple gun to hook it to those sticks. Now the goal here is to not pop through the front. That's why I'm using a 1/4-inch. They're very thin staples because I don't want those all to pop out the front. The other cool thing about this is if you really want the farmhouse vibes, you could flip those inside out because you can see the ruler. I wanted it to just be plain wood on the outside, but if you see the ruler, that's another look, so you could flip it. Then we're going to add it to the other side, do the same thing, staple down that chicken wire, cut any excess, and voila! I am so happy with how this turned out. I love the color plus the chicken wire. I like that it's a little more modern farmhouse. It doesn't feel full-on farmhouse because I'm not 100% farmhouse of like animals in farmhouse, but I like the rustic and wood decor pieces. And the other great thing about this is it can be used both as a container, or you can flip it and it can be used as a riser with some character. Now up next, let's grab that garden shovel and give it a makeover. I'm going to start by taking it outside, and I'm going to spray the actual spade part with this espresso color, and then I am doing the handle in just black matte spray paint. I'm making sure I get the front and the back. It doesn't have to be perfect, but get it as close as you can to the center there. And then we are going to make the magic happen. This is something that I've wanted to try for a while. You use cinnamon to make something look rusted and aged. So I'm going to take some Mod Podge. I'm going to add it to that brown part of the spade. I'm going to make sure I get a decent amount on there, and then I'm going to sprinkle the cinnamon. Now don't worry, the cinnamon expired in 2021. I'm not going to eat it, but I keep it in my craft room to use for projects like this. So definitely don't buy the organic cinnamon. Dollar Tree has it for $1.25 when you're doing projects like this. Just word to the wise. Cover all that Mod Podge, and then you're going to shake off the excess, and you're going to continue all the way around the edges, the tip, as well as the back to make sure the whole thing is coated. Once that's done, go back over with a coat of Mod Podge, and I am stippling on here just so then that way I'm not pulling or moving any of that cinnamon I just applied. You're just trying to get it to seal in. And also the little bubbles that are created with the stippling of this foam brush is going to help with the texture that we're going for as well. Put that to the side, let it dry, and then I knew I wanted to cover the handle because it's like a rubbery material, and it just was not going with this like primitive farmhouse vibe I was going for. I cut some of this fabric into a piece of ribbon. I just cut a little slit and pulled it apart. And then I grabbed a wood tag from my stash and used these cute little stamps I've had for years. I think I got these before I was married, so almost 10 years ago from the Target dollar spot, but they were so cute. I did Hello Spring, and then I also used my little ink pad around the edge to distress it so it looked nice and worn. Then once everything was dry, look how good that looks. It looks like you have been using this shovel for years, even though it's brand new from Dollar Tree. And I wrapped the handle just enough so that I could create a bow at the top with some nice long tails. I added my Hello Spring in there before I tied the rest of my bow. I'm going to tie it up. I'm going to dovetail the ends. And this thing is so awesome. I am so happy with how this turned out. I love that it has like primitive vibes. It also goes in with my neutral decor, and this is just a really fun spring piece. You could also add a colorful ribbon if you want more spring colors. This would be really cute hanging on, like if you've got like a key rack too, just to hang this to be a little spring piece. So many different options, but it goes so great with the crate. I love when these projects all start to work together. Sticking with the wood theme, I am grabbing the pots from the box from Melanie and the rest of that 1x6 that I cut up for the crate. So because I'm using what was left over from that other project, I didn't really measure it. It's probably about anywhere from 30 to 36 inches long. I sanded and stained, and then I grabbed those pots. I spray painted it with the color London Fog, and it really just took the edge off. It made it more my vibe, but you could easily not have to do that for what we're making here. Then the next day, when my piece of wood had dried, I measured and did the center, and then I split the difference on either side of the center so that I knew where I could evenly disperse my 3 pieces of hardware. These are from Amazon, and they're made to hold plants, 4-inch pots specifically, which I was so excited about because I wanted to make this project anyway, and the pots that Melanie sent me fit perfect. So grabbed these from Amazon. I went through and put them where they needed to go, drilled a pilot hole, and then I used a screwdriver by hand to screw in the hardware. I tried to use the drill the one time and it stripped the screw because they don't have a self-tapping end, so I would definitely recommend this if you grab the hardware. And then you can decide if you want the black piece on the bottom like I'm doing here or from the top. You add your little planters, and then I needed a hanger on the back, so I measured right in the middle. And then I love these sawtooth hangers. These are a must-have in my craft room because I can put them on whatever I have and hang something super easily. They're super strong. They're great on so many different materials. And then I just added these IKEA plants I had around my house to style this. But I also think I may either make another one or just commandeer this one for my craft room. You could put craft supplies in there, and then all I have to do is take the pot, put it on the table, and then put it back when you're done. We are headed back to the scrap wood pile for the next one, and these are actually cedar fence pickets from my fence picket videos that I have done. I've done a ton of those. I will link that down below, that playlist, if you like to work with fence pickets too. I ended up cutting a 1.5-inch 45-degree corner off of both sides, and I ended up doing this for 2 pieces. I originally thought I could make some hanging tags, and then I decided to take this in another direction. So much of these mystery boxes, sometimes I have a distinctive idea, but other times I kind of just fumble my way through it until the vision comes to life, and that's exactly what happened with this project. So I measured and put a line right in the center and used a 1 1/8 bit here to go through the wood. And I learned from a craft buddy, so I didn't split the wood, to put a scrap piece underneath. Thank you so much to whoever taught me that, because I do it all the time now and it's so helpful. I love learning from you guys as much as you guys love learning things from me. The reason you want to do this before you stain is because it's going to create just a little bit of that blowout, and you want to make sure that's covered. Then we are grabbing the yarn and the flowers from Melanie, and I started by cutting up these carnations because originally I wanted to just slide off those green leaves. A lot of times Dollar Tree florals have cheapy looking leaves, and if you remove them, it can make all the difference. Well, then I got an idea. I just popped the actual head of the carnation off and used these little pieces on this lavender I got from Walmart and slid it on there. Funny story about the lavender, it actually was supposed to go to Lisa, and I ended up having an issue fitting it in the box that I had already packed, so I swapped it out for something else, and it actually worked out that I had this on hand. So it was the mystery box universe saying, keep those, you're going to need them. Once I added those carnations to the lavender, it made the sprig and the bouquet look so full, but I didn't have to worry about having the extra bulk inside of those stems. Then once I had that all together, I used the yarn to keep it looking how I wanted, and then I was going to staple that to the wood. Well, then I decided to change my mind again. I cut some of the same fabric I used from the garden spade and created a pocket. So I glued it onto the front piece of wood. And then after I made the pocket, I made sure to give myself some slack, but then I also decided, okay, this back one is way too much. So I removed the back tag. I'll save that for a later project. And then I had this pocket. I thought the moss would be a great way to add some greenery bulk to this, so I glued some of the moss onto the sticks of the carnations and just shoved it in the back. What it did is it pushed the flowers forward, but because it's green and earthy looking, it doesn't look out of place, but it pushes those forward and makes it look a lot bigger. I'm really glad I went with the pocket idea for the flowers because this is a neutral fabric. So here I can have spring ones, I can switch it out for fall, winter, I can do some summer florals in there, and you're not going to have to worry about switching out the hanger or the fabric in the front. So I like to keep stuff like that pretty neutral, and then you can add whatever florals. I also have another one of these with tulips right now in my kitchen hanging on the cabinets, and that's what I do with this one too, switch it out seasonally. The time has come to grab those challenge items, and we are going to incorporate both of these plus the twist in one project. I didn't think it was going to turn out, but I'm really happy with how it did. So I started by taking the boy shorts and cutting down the one seam that it had as well as across the legs. Then that way I had one continuous piece of fabric that didn't have any stitching on it. I decided to pop off the top of the line art thing that Melanie sent me, and I used that to trace a large circle, and then I used my Mod Podge container to do a small circle. I cut out a bunch of them by doubling up the fabric so that they would be the same size. Once those were cut out, I also cut out some similar sized circles on felt, and then it was time to assemble. For the fabric, I glued half of the circle and folded it with the right sides inward, and your shape is going to look similar to a taco. Then with a little bit of opening that you leave on the side, you're going to flip them inside out after they cool. For the felt ones, you don't have to flip them inside out, just glue a half circle and then make your taco shape, and then you can trim any areas where they don't line up. Then I kind of messed around with what I thought I could create the shape I was going for. I added some jute twine and I was able to make this really cute butterfly. So how I did that was take my 2 taco pieces and put the curved sides in the center. I pinched both like I was making a hair bow. And then with the jute twine, I added a little bit of slack on one end, wrapped it around, and then gave it a knot at the top that looked like the head and the antenna of the butterfly. And then you kind of have to mess with it, pull it taut, get everything where you want it to go. But these butterflies are so cute. The more and more I made of these colorful butterflies, it made me want to make a butterfly garden. So one night on a walk, Henry, Sebastian, and I gathered up some sticks. I was able to cut them so that they would fit inside this plant really well. And I was originally going to use an actual plant, but I thought this would be nice because this whole thing will be fine. It won't like die because it's a regular plant, and then I can keep the color inside or in my craft room all winter long. Once I cut those down, I glued my cute little butterflies with some scrap felt and fabric onto the sticks and inserted them into the pot. I racked my brain so much for what I could use with that line art thing other than just like making cool line art. And I actually decided to use the plastic circular pieces to add some rigidity to these flowers. I just took some additional felt, cut a spiral, and then you're going to start at the first end, so like the first thing you cut, and just roll it, hook it with some hot glue, roll it, and then adhere it with hot glue at the end. And it's a really easy flower. I promise you this is idiot proof. Anybody can make these. You just roll it, and if you don't like it, unroll it and fix it. We're going to glue it down, and then I am going to add those plastic pieces to the bottoms of my flowers. So then that way I've got rigidity one, but then also an area that I can hook my stick to. Also, don't push on the area with the holes when there's hot glue on there. That was a rookie mistake. Then to cover up the red on the bottom, I did this little squiggly thing that I cut out of felt and wrapped it around to create more petals. I added my stick and some green felt that I had cut into leaf shapes to cover that up. Once I got done with all of the flowers and the butterflies, I just added them to the bouquet, kind of like you are arranging a regular bouquet of flowers. And I also had to make sure I got my cute little underwear butterflies in there. I had some leftovers, so I also glued those to some Dollar Tree magnets to use in my craft room, and voila. Now, definitely by looking at this, I do not think that it would look like they are underwear butterflies. Only we know that. That could be our little secret. But the nice thing is the fabric wasn't terrible to work with, and this would make a great gift for Mother's Day, for teacher appreciation, because it's low maintenance and it's super fun and colorful. Now, speaking of butterflies, we're going to grab those laser craft icons from Melanie, and I had a couple other packs in my stash already, so I decided to grab all of those and paint them in a variety of colors. Once those were dry, I used some super glue gel from Dollar Tree as well as some Dollar Tree thumbtacks to glue them where there was a bulk of centerpiece, so not everything was exactly in the center, but I glued them onto the back of these to create some thumbtacks. Now, a quick pause for this mat. I absolutely love this thing. It's so nice to paint on, and then all you have to do is spray it with an all-purpose cleaner and the paint comes right off because it's silicone. I actually learned of this from Courtney. Every year she does a top craft tools video, and I think this was last year or the year before. I don't know. It was an instant add to cart, so thank you, Courtney, for that. Now, while those were drying, I decided to finish this project that has been on my docket for forever. I got 3 of these cork boards at the beginning of the year before everything got crazy to add them to my craft room because I wanted somewhere to display cards and a lot of things. I love the scallop trend that's going around right now, and so I grabbed this unfinished wood scalloping that I got from Amazon. I cut it in half with my miter box, and then I sucked up all of the extra sawdust with my vacuum cleaner. It's my handheld vacuum. I love that thing too. And then I glued the pieces together because I needed a piece and a half to go across the top of my cork board because they were only 15 inches. I used super glue gel as well as hot glue and a half of a popsicle stick to glue that together. And then once I did all of the pieces that I needed for my 3 cork boards, I filled them up with some wood filler, let it dry, and then sanded it down. Now I wanted to add some color to the actual cork portion, so I found this fun fabric. It looked like paint, like swatches, and I also loved that it was $2 a yard on clearance. I painted the outsides in colors that I picked out to match the fabric, so a pink, a purple, and a blue. And then I cut the fabric down and used just a regular old office stapler to staple the fabric down. I trimmed the excess and then I used hot glue to align the frame and stick it all down. I like to use Gorilla glue sticks. They hold super well, the Gorilla hot glue sticks. And then all that was left was to take my cute little pin board pins and put up these cards. Now these are all cards from Craft Buddies. You guys made these and sent them when we were going through the hard times, when I had health stuff, when Henry had health stuff. And I want to display these because so much of what I do in my job is very solo. I know I'm making this content for you guys, but I do it in my craft room by myself, like I am voicing this right now. And I was so touched by all the stuff that you guys had sent. So I can't wait to get up all my cards and memorabilia and all this stuff to display it in my craft room. If you took the time to send us a card or a well wish, thank you so much. It means everything from the bottom of my heart. And if you recently sent one, don't worry, I will get back to you. If you sent a return address, I'll send you some whiskey Craft Buddy swag. And speaking of cards, this vellum paper is going to be how we round out the projects. And this was actually the first thing I did. I thought it would be a fun project for me to do just for myself because I've had this package of textured cardstock from the 12x12 cardstock shop for almost a year now, and I haven't had a chance to get around to testing it. They sent it to me, and I'm not a big card maker, as you guys know, but I thought this would be fun and something to try new as I'm getting back into crafting. I ended up making a monarch butterfly card for my niece who is turning 4 and she loves monarch butterflies. So I cut everything out and then I also added to the project, I found this in Cricut Design Space, I added a shape so that I could cut the vellum paper. So I popped it into my machine, cut it, and I will save this for you guys over on my Design Space profile if you want to make this one with the insert. Now, if you don't have a Cricut or you'd rather cut this by hand, it's super easy. Just take an envelope, trace it, and then glue the vellum paper down. And it's a really fun way to add some pizzazz to cards that you are giving or mailing away. Then to assemble my card, I use this Barely Art glue that I heard recommended from a ton of people. We actually went to their booth at Pinners last year and I was meaning to purchase it, so I bought it for this project and I love it. I think I'm going to be making some more cards. I added it to my envelope, went ahead and folded that over the score line, and then assembled my envelope, assembled my card, and I am so happy with how this turned out. It is so fun, and it wasn't hard to do. Cricut gave me everything to cut. They tell you what to do. Everything was sized, and then it also just told me how to assemble everything. So it looks a little detailed oriented, but it was so fun to make, and I can't wait to give this to my niece this weekend at her party. That's going to do it for this round of the Mystery Box Challenge. I hope you loved all my projects. Be sure to head down to the comments and let me know which project was your favorite. What would you have done with those challenge items that Melanie sent? Touche to her. She did a great job sending me the box. Also, up next for you is Lisa's video. Be sure to go over there and see what I sent her and follow along for the whole playlist to see what everybody created. I hope you guys love this video. I hope you don't think I'm too rusty at this. It has been so fun getting back to the swing of things, and I can't wait to see you in my next DIY video. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks to Courtney for hosting. Thanks to Kristen for a fun round, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye!
If you like my mom's videos, subscribe to be a craft buddy.
Henry agrees.